Korea is a mountainous country. The rugged landscape was created during prehistoric volcanic activity. The Korean people describe their homeland as rivers and mountains embroidered on silk. Myths and legends associated with the founding of early Korean kingdoms are abundant and are obviously inspired by the ominous presence of the mountains. In a story from the writings of a Buddhist monk dating back to the year 1200, the god of creation descended upon a mountain with 3 sacred seals and 3,000 followers, establishing a sacred town, Old Chosun. He commanded the lords of wind, rain, and clouds, regulated the lives of the people, healed sickness, administered justice, and civilized human society. Lacking historical and documentary sources, it's impossible to verify any facts that might have been the basis for the monk's story. However, it does demonstrate the origin of the beliefs in the mountain deity. Taekwondo can trace its beginnings back to the 6th century AD. No early written accounts exist, so it's only by word of mouth and legend that the patterns of this early and ancient art survive. Korea was 3 separate kingdoms 1,300 years ago: Goguryeo, Baekje, and the smaller Shilla. Chin Heung, 24th king of Shilla, assembled an elite fighting corps called the Hwarangdo. They trained in mind and body development. They climbed Korea's rugged mountains and swam the waterways in all months of the year. The 5 principles of their code were loyalty to the king, obedience to parents, honor and faith among friends, perseverance in battle, and killing with justice. A primitive art of foot fighting called Su-bak was practiced by the common people. The Hwarang used it and added new hand techniques and geared it to combat on an intense scale. They modified the sport with their severe mental discipline and converted it into an effective weapon of war. The new art became known as Taekwondo, or Hwarangdo. The Korean peninsula became united for the first time in history with the occupation of Goguryeo and Baekje by Shilla. The name of the unified kingdoms became Koryo, or Korea. The king of Koryo made training in Taekyon compulsory for all his soldiers. The 500 years of the Koryo dynasty were flourishing ones for this art, but the Yi dynasty, which followed, marked an era of decline. The 3rd king of the Yi dynasty, around 1401, actively recruited experts in Taekyon and organized an army, making the art strong again. With the occupation of the Japanese in 1909, the study and practice of all martial arts was outlawed. Choon Mo-young was born in Cheongnam, Korea on February 10, 1943, one of 7 children. During the last days of World War II, the Soviet Union declared war on Japan and its troops invaded northeastern Korea. Japan's colonial rule in Korea came to an end. In 1947, after 2 years of the Soviet, American, and Korean tug-of-war to establish a government, the vacated Japanese economic and utilities infrastructure was collapsing. The young family moved to Ansan-up in the province of Gyeonggi-do. Due to the fighting, their hometown of Cheongnam no longer existed. In an attempt to stop the Soviets from occupying the entire Korean peninsula, the United States proposed to divide Korea into 2 military operational zones along the 38th parallel. It was here, in Ansan-up, that 4-year-old Choon Mo discovered his passion for the martial arts. Hearing the legend of an amazing master who moved like the wind, living in the Suambong mountain nearby, the young boy's interest, curiosity, and love for the martial arts was born. Due to the increasing number of unemployed people in the country and shortage of commodities, Seoul's population jumped nearly 1 million to 1.7 million in 3 short years as people moved in searching for food and housing. The young family followed the trend, moving closer to Seoul by 1949. Under the American military government, the traditional Korean culture still lived, and the art of Taekyon was surviving. Under the National Committee on Education Planning, educational opportunities were on the rise. The South Korean President Syngman Rhee, after sitting for a demonstration of Korean martial arts, ordered the army to be trained, and soon the arts spread to the schools. Choon Mo, now 6 years old, began school and pursued his study of the martial arts. Under Master Hong Chang-gil, he trained 6 days a week for 2 hours a day. Missing 3 classes was considered a lack of commitment to the art and was held as a reason to dismiss a student from the martial arts training. Although he trained hard, the inexperience of his youth led to the flunking of his blue belt test. But his spirit would overcome this setback, and he passed on the next attempt. At 9 years of age, he committed to train 365 days straight, out in the wilderness, much more disciplined training than even his master required. The young boy got up at 4 o'clock each morning, ran 2 miles into the woods, and practiced on his own, then ran 2 miles home and went to school. For each day Choon Mo practiced, he brought home 1 pine needle. By the end of the year, a jar filled with 365 pine needles represented his personal commitment to training. All this time, the country of South Korea was still suffering with communist uprisings and labor strikes. On June 25, 1950, North Korean troops advanced along the 38th parallel, and the Korean War had begun. The American government was taken by surprise, and Seoul was captured on June 28. By September 15th of 1950, the UN forces joined with General MacArthur and successfully freed Seoul on September 28th. For Choon Mo Young, focus again returned to school and training. He received his black belt when he was 10, but his life was fated to change again. With the Chinese People's Liberation Army joining the North Koreans in the war, Seoul fell to the communists again. Choon Mo's father was lost. The war produced an estimated 100,000 orphans and over 300,000 war widows in South Korea. The U.S. government began secret talks with the Chinese in 1951, but the armistice was not signed until July 27, 1953. In 1955, after the organization of a Taekwondo training center for the military on the island of Jeju, Taekwondo became the art's official name and the national art of Korea. Tai referring to a kick, Kwon, a punch or hand strike, and Do, meaning way or method or art. In the early 1960s, Korean masters traveled to the U.S. and established training centers all over the country. Back in school, Choon Mo excelled in his studies of history, music, art, and dance, along with the other required subjects. One of his black belt tests took place in the dead of winter. He was taken to a river in the darkness of night and swam across the icy waters to a fire lit on the opposite bank, a true test of strength and courage. Other black belt tests had him breaking bricks with the flying knife hand. This technique became one of his favorites. Choon Mo Young continued his education and eventually received his law degree. While being honored with an appointment to the Palace Guard, he witnessed many student protests, most of which were violent. As he helped injured students get aid, he vowed to promote peace and never to use his Taekwondo art to promote violence in any medium. Young continued to live in Korea and work in the service of the government of South Korea and study martial arts until 1970. On May 3, 1970, Choon Mo Young came to Columbus, Ohio to help bring Taekwondo to America. He spoke no English and lived at the YMCA downtown. Young approached the YMCA and proposed starting a Taekwondo class. His first American class began in 1972 at the Central YMCA in downtown Columbus. With his savings from teaching classes, he opened his first studio on East Town Street. Next, he opened a larger studio on Cleveland Avenue, and finally, the West Broad School. Over the years, Master Young has taught thousands of students, with more than 200 people trained to black belt ranking. He has promoted his first masters to teach classes at the Northside and Delaware YMCAs, Westerville Athletic Club, the Arlington Life in Learning Program, the Creative Activities Program at The Ohio State University, the Worthington Extended Education Program, and the Dance Reach Program in Powell. Many other classes are run by high-ranking students. These classes include the West Side, East Suburban, and Central YMCAs.
Okay, sorry to keep.
Grandmaster Young teaches the Ji-Do Kwan style of Taekwondo. The simple translation is House of Leadership and Wisdom. These are the ideals the Grandmaster stresses to his students.
We have to have strong side, strong punch, beautiful technique. But I like to have a beautiful friendship. Taekwondo without friendship, forget it. Everybody understand me? Sure. So keep the friendship forever, and that would have a beautiful life. Taekwondo is beautiful. You know why it's beautiful? Because we always bowing. We always care about the parents. Always care about the flag, country. We always care about this grass. We always care about the tree, water. You are teacher. You are masters. And you. That's what Taekwondo is beautiful.
At the beginning of a typical class, students will line up according to rank and seniority. The instructor will then have the class bow to the flags, bow to him or herself, and bow to the senior instructor that is present. Next, warm-up exercises, and the practice of particular basic movements, such as a side kick or throwing a knife hand.
Everybody make good form.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Good stances and make good blocks.
Conditioning also includes the practice of the basic forms. The forms teach basic movements in a series, so the movements flow together. The basic forms also help with balance. All these traits are important in self-defense. When the Grand Master or higher-ranking member enters the dojang or training hall, the instructor directs the class to face the higher-ranking member and to bow, then asks for instruction. If no special instructions are given, the class will proceed. Although competition and tournament participation is not a goal, sparring is a necessary learning experience in any form of self-defense, and things can get a little rough. Most sparring is done with an opponent of equal size and strength, but the real learning starts with a foe twice your size or ability. After a few bumps and bruises, Grandmaster Young demonstrates a different movement for the class to train with. To close the session, the Grandmaster leads the class in meditation.
The main thing I like to use meditation for, and that I try and teach my students to do meditation for, is concentration. We have a lot of people with ADHD and ADD practicing. They have trouble focusing on one thing at a time, focusing on just the field with the wind going through it, or just the water, or just a black screen. That's one thing. You're concentrating on one thing each time. During that breathing exercise, you're just focusing on your breathing and what you see in your mind.
For some, the benefits of Taekwondo go further than physical and spiritual health. Martial arts training can be helpful for children with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Traditional Taekwondo provides a framework for personal training and development that matches instructional technique with many ADHD traits. And it addresses many ADHD deficiency areas, such as the difficulty in focusing attention.
I think the ADD kids also are probably attracted or intrigued by some of the kind of mystical oriental aspects of the martial arts, the terminology, some of the insignia. They're different, they're unique, and these are frequently the kind of experiences that these AD kids are looking for. They're not looking for the ordinary, mundane sort of thing. They like things that are unusual or stimulating or exciting or interesting. And I think that the Taekwondo training brings a lot of that sort of really unique stimulation for a young kid.
Training and meditation can be useful in treating other medical conditions as well.
I had kidney problems and tumors and a few different little problems. Getting involved in Taekwondo, actually at first I seemed to have gotten sicker. I'd go home after a Y class and throw up. But I eventually saw myself, being stronger as far as physically goes, health-wise, and I did end up having surgery the week after I had my black belt test. And it was when they got in and discovered what all was wrong, it was even worse than they had anticipated. But my kidneys were pretty well blocked. And one of the doctors told me that the martial arts had to have really been a big help, because he didn't know why I hadn't gone into renal failure. And the sweat is the only reason that he could come up with that probably got me through. The healing process too, I'm sure, was much quicker and much smoother because of the meditation that I was doing, very, very structured for healing at that point in time. Taekwondo really can be very, very healing. I guess when I found that out on a personal basis so well, I've become a very strong advocate because I've been through all of that. And it's a very wonderful thing.
The ranking system is part of the Taekwondo tradition. It has survived over 2,000 years because of strong rules and regulations. A student begins at the white belt level and advances at his or her own rate. A student may test for promotion at every 2-month testing interval. But the requirements to test for first Dan black belt are a minimum of 3 to 4 years of total training time, and hold a rank of first Gup red belt for a period of 6 months to a year. The hierarchical manner in which the Taekwondo system is structured shows that leadership is not restricted to the instructors.
2.
Daily practice is key to mastering the art of Taekwondo, and Grandmaster Young's studios are busy 6 days a week. But outdoor training is the heritage of martial arts. Historically, students did not have indoor studios, but practiced in open fields, day or night, summer or winter. Young's philosophy is, if you practice in darkness, cold, or snow, you get natural feedback to see if your training is right. If your balance is off, you're more likely to fall on uneven ground. Thus, nature is a teacher, because it encourages the best form and balance. Practicing in difficult conditions makes one both physically and mentally tough, and builds courage and the loss of fear. This hard training also adds balance to life because it fosters appreciation of the natural environment. Also, the training teaches students to become better leaders. Taekwondo is not just an excellent method of self-defense, it's also a way of life. Its ideals can be traced back to influence on Buddhism and its aim of the mastery of self. Through the philosophy of Taekwondo, a student works to eliminate the ego and live in harmony with the universe. Typically, Young's Taekwondo camp is held at an outdoor park and begins on Friday evening. At midnight, the students assemble for a 2-hour workout. Again, they begin with warm-ups. On moonless nights like this, the darkness is not only intimidating, but dangerous, especially on the side of a steep mountain. These training exercises seem very extreme, but the sense of satisfaction is unmatched. After a couple hours on this awkward surface, their movements on level ground feel almost effortless. After a night's rest, there is a workout from 7 to 9 a.m. before breakfast. Again, different exercises are done to fine-tune movements and increase strength. A much-deserved rest period follows, with about 3 hours of free time.
5, 6, 7.
Practice commences again around noon and may last 3 hours.
2, 3.
Everybody, shoot!
Sparring on the mountainside is another challenge in a weekend filled with them. Target practice with the use of trees is a humbling experience. The tree does deserve respect, however, and is thanked at the end of the exercise. Another challenge is the water practice, held in the middle of a river. Keeping one's footing alone is a battle. But what looks like fun and games is held under the watchful eye of the Grand Master. As during any practice, every session is ended with meditation. On occasion, a black belt test is held after the afternoon practices. The candidate must show proper form for the level being attempted. Board-breaking tests are also given. And finally, a series of questions on subjects ranging from training habits and respect for parents and country to plans for future life and the martial arts. Often during the afternoon sessions, Grandmaster Young gives a demonstration, sometimes despite sub-zero temperatures. Here, the Grandmaster demonstrates target practice, bouncing buckeyes off trees with his foot. At times, an acrobatic board breaking is in order. And sometimes things get pretty hot. Here, Grandmaster Young performs a rescue. The objects in the house are a doll, a toy bear, and flowers. The doll representing the obligation to help those who are weak, ill, or in danger. The toy bear shows our responsibility to the animal kingdom. And the flowers are a reminder of our duty to keep the earth clean and not abuse the land. Traditional seasonal ceremonies are also performed at the weekend camps, and on a special occasion, the Master's Ceremony. Here, Bernadette Burke is promoted to be the first woman to hold the title of Master under Grandmaster Young.
Choon Young will now present Miss Bernadette Burke with her master's degree.
I, Bernadette Burke, promise to teach Taekwondo for justice. I, Bernadette Burke, promise to teach Taekwondo to promote health and peaceful life for myself and all students. I, Bernadette Burke, promise to teach Taekwondo under the rules and regulations of the Sunbae-Do. I understand and agree that I received the degree of Master and the 5th degree Black Belt under the certification, rules and regulations of the World Sunbae-Do Federation, and Grandmaster Choon Young.
This oath is sworn before the students and Grandmaster Choon Young on this day, October 18th, 1997.
The students are then ready to relax, with plenty of food, drink, and good cheer, including the telling of stories and poems. The students perform songs and tell jokes to strengthen their ability to stand up in front of people. For Grandmaster Young's students, entertaining is an important step toward building confidence. During celebrations, like birthdays or anniversaries, banquets are held by the Choon Young Institute. These occasions bring the students together as friends, and they encourage each other to participate in karaoke. The Grand Master himself is very involved in this tradition. Entertainment is also provided to the community. The Memorial Day Parade in Grandview, Ohio has been a tradition for the studio for over 21 years. On the 4th of July, the studio appears in the West Side Parade and has often won the award for Outstanding Entertainment. In the afternoon on Independence Day, the studio rushes to Westerville, Ohio for their second parade of the day. The studio's appearance is a crowd pleaser wherever they go. Master Choon Mo-young adopted America as his country and became a citizen of the United States. His leadership has been acknowledged by the Governor of Ohio, the Ohio House of Representatives, and the U.S. Senate. He's been featured in national magazines and newspapers. Today, Choon Mo-young is a Grand Master with an 8th degree black belt. He's also the president of the World Sunbae-do Federation, which he founded. The World Sunbae-do Federation's aim is to strengthen and preserve traditional, non-competitive style of Taekwondo. The name Sunbae-do comes from the oldest known Korean martial arts organization, from the Goguryeo dynasty. You have searched for the Master in the mountain. Where is he? Half a world away, always searching. Half a lifetime. Where is he? On a snow-covered hill, at the river's edge, in the forest, shining through the moonlit trees. Meditating at sunrise, he watches over you. You have found him, not the easy way, but your way. You loved, you cared, you never gave up. He is here. You have found him. In every mind you have touched, in every heart you have healed, in every pain you have eased, in every life you have changed. In each one of your students, you have found the Master in the mountain.